My daughter's 3F bio dad, 32M, is concerned that I'm 24M, not a fit parent for her. Too long did not read. My daughter's 3F bio dad, 32M, reached out to me, 24M, after my boyfriend, 25M, and I got engaged because he doesn't believe that I'm a fit parent for her and I'm subjecting her to an unhealthy environment because I chose to marry a man instead of a woman, despite him leaving when my late sister got pregnant. Recently, my daughter's biological father, 32M, connected with me to express his concerns about the environment I was exposing his daughter to. For some background info, my sister got pregnant pretty young, 23. She was older than me at the time. Around that time, she had been in a casual relationship, it was purely sex, with someone from her workplace. So, it was fairly obvious to know who the father was. Long story short, he wanted nothing to do with her or her baby. She considered an abortion. My family was supportive of any decision she made, but in the end, she decided that she'd go through with the pregnancy. My daughter, 3F almost 4, came into my care early on. My sister died a little over 3 years ago, right around the time she had her baby. She had me down as the person she wanted to care for her daughter after her passing. Obviously, we didn't expect it to happen so soon. Her death was sudden and it hit my entire family pretty hard. My mother and my older brother, 30M at the time, now 33, offered to take care of her since I was still young, but I wanted to respect my sister's wishes. She wanted me to take care of her, so that's what I was going to do. I tried to put a pause on my love life. Naturally, I've been weary about allowing people into my daughter's life, especially since I don't want her to feel like she's losing more people. She already lost her mom, which was hard enough. Still, I met a great guy, 25M, about 2.5 years ago and we're engaged now. He's an amazing co-parent and boyfriend, fiancé. She's gotten into the habit of calling him Dad now, after asking him if she could. It was honestly one of the most adorable things she's ever done. Just recently, her biological father reached out after hearing of this, and he had some strong opinions about how his daughter was being raised and the environment she was being raised in. He doesn't believe that I'm a fit parent for her solely because I'm bisexual and I apparently chose to marry a man instead of a woman. He doesn't believe it'll be a healthy environment for my daughter. I may not be her biological father, but I have been there for her from the start, unlike him. And so has my fiancé. He's been in her life ever since she was 1. She doesn't even know a life without him. I'm not even sure he should get a say in any of this. Unlike my sexual, romantic preferences, he chose not to be a part of her life. Still, he believes she needs a strong male role model in her life along with a female one. She doesn't need to be confused by having 2 dads, as he put it, and he suddenly wants to be in her life. I don't know if I want someone like that in my daughter's life. He's not reliable, and when things gets tough, it's safe to say he'll most likely up and leave. My fiancé doesn't trust him at all, but he's always been protective of our daughter. Nonetheless, I don't know what I should do about him. On the one hand, I don't want someone like him in her life, but I also don't want her to feel like she missed out on knowing her father because of me. Edit. I am her legal parent and my husband-to-be also recently went through with adopting her. We have all our papers in order and all that. Bio dad was never listed on the birth certificate, nor has he ever paid any amount of child support. There's no mention made of the legal aspects. You need to make sure you're covered there as well. You're probably down as the guardian as per your sister's wishes. Is that enough? The biological father didn't give a shit before, but is that enough to prevent him raising a legal challenge to whatever the status quo is now? Get some legal advice if you have any doubts or uncertainties here. Get those sorted quickly. Stability in your daughter's life is something to protect, and fiercely. If you have every legal protection in place already, that's great, bases are covered. Let's call it like it is. That guy is a homophobe and a deadbeat. Make sure you have everything legal, adoption or guardianship, and tell him to go back to where he was all this years since she was born. He is a sperm donor and nothing more. Parents are those who raise. Others have said it better, but she doesn't need to be confused by having 2 dads, as he put it, and he suddenly wants to be in her life. I just want to point out that he thinks she'll be somehow less confused by adding a third father to the mix. Tread very carefully here. This is one of those times where morally right and legally right don't always intersect. Do not give him any ammunition by doing the morally right thing before you lock down legalities. 1. Were his rights terminated in court? Any verbal understanding or letter doesn't count. 2. Did you legally adopt your daughter? If you answered no to either of these, run straight to a family law attorney. Do not respond to him until you do. There is every possibility that he could drag you through court out of spite. Play this smart. He didn't want anything to do with her when he had the choice. I'd politely tell him to fuck off. Nope. 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 Not while she's so young and impressionable at least. Nothing healthy will come from it. He's not looking to connect with her. He just doesn't approve of your sexuality. Allowing him to form a relationship with her will just bring hate into her life. Also, this could easily backfire from a legal standpoint, if you're in the States at least. Once a relationship is formed, courts are less willing to sever it. Don't open that window. Congratulations on the upcoming wedding. Get a lawyer. You haven't said where you live, but in the US, unless he has signed his parental rights away, he still has them, deadbeat or not. If it was just a matter of him disappearing, you could easily lose custody. So I would lawyer up. Until you have legal status, you should probably minimize contact with him and not stir up shit that might entice him to do something just for spite. You need legal advice, not relationship advice. Don't allow him to form a relationship with your daughter, and talk to a family lawyer ASAP. You don't need Reddit, you need a lawyer. He is trying to control your daughter's life because he thinks he is a strong male role model. Lay down the truth. That motherfucker is a deadbeat and homophobe. Tell him if he comes any near, you will file a child support claim and drain him. Deadbeat dads like these motherfuckers aren't good for anyone. Get a lawyer. Obviously this man is a homophobic deadbeat, but if he does decide to file for custody, the courts might take him seriously, especially if you live in a conservative state. Make sure you know how to navigate this. By the way, how did her bio dad find out you're dating a man? Is he stalking you on social media or something? Ask him for back child support. I'm assuming he didn't pay any. You need to speak to a lawyer. ASAP. He doesn't want her to be confused by having two dads. How confusing would it be if he got involved and she had a third? You sound like a better parent than he could ever be. Both of you. Tell this sperm donor to fuck off. You guys got this. You need to go to court before he does. Lawyer up. When people suddenly start having strong opinions about kids, there's no end to the possibilities of what they might do out of rage or hatred. Maintain records of what was said and when. If there are calls, record them. Save text messages. I hope it doesn't come to the worst, but staying prepared never caused any harm. And yeah, ask him to F off. Okay. So when he chose to not be a positive male role model and support your sister and let her be a single mom, then that was okay. But now that she has two dads, it's a problem and not enough male role models in her life. As long as you have the legal rights to your daughter, and he can't do anything about it, ignore him. If he's not going to be a healthy adult in her life, he might as well not be there at all. How about 3 years in back child support? Until then, him and his homophobic opinion can fuck right off. This is a legal matter only. Legally protect the child due to parental abandonment and block him right out of your life. If all the legalities are covered, such as adoption, then his homophobia should have no effect on you or your daughter. He's a non-entity in her life so far, and it sounds like he should remain that way. She's not missing out on a father figure. She has you and your family. You're her father. The sperm donor is just a homophobic deadbeat. Don't worry about what he thinks. And it sounds like there may be female influences already. Grandmas, aunts, female cousins. Bio dad is just a homophobe. He wasn't so worried about her having a strong male role model when he abandoned her and your sister. Tell the homophobic asshole to fuck off. Make sure all the legalities are in order. Speak to your lawyer about anything further you can do. As long as you are legally covered, you can tell him to leave you and your family alone. He is a stranger to your daughter. that brings a hateful worldview into her life. A life that you are providing for her, since she was born. If she wants a relationship with this guy when she is older, that's her choice. But as a small child, I think it's your duty to protect her from harm. This is a warning and only a warning. If his name is on the birth certificate and he has been paying child support, he has legal parental rights. Your sister can say or write anything she wants, but that does not override his parental rights. Even the fact that he didn't want anything to do with the child at the time does not dismiss his parental rights. Now, if he did not ever pay child support, it does make your case stronger. In the event that one parent dies, the other biological parent does have the right to come into the picture legally. Contact a lawyer. Do not try to handle this on your own. Tell him to F off. He didn't want to be in her life before, and he certainly doesn't need to be in her life now. She has two people who love her, and that's what counts. Your daughter has a father, too, in fact. She doesn't need any more. Especially a homophobic one. He abandoned his child in utero, didn't assert his parental rights when Biomum, your sister, died, and has left the child in your care for 3+ years, paid, presumably, no child support, and only now you're unfit. I'd tell him to fuck off and send him a cease and desist. The audacity to neglect everything about the child for 3+ years, then get his knickers in a twist because he's a homophobe. 1. Get a lawyer and make sure your adoption of her is airtight. Document everything. He may try to pull custody only because he's a homophobe too. He's a homophobe and your daughter is young and impressionable. Not a good influence to be around. 3. She's surrounded by people who truly love her. Bringing that deadbeat in won't be beneficial. You are awesome op and a wonderful parent. You are making the right call by not letting him in. Boy, at first it was a little hard to decipher how the whole situation was structured, but damn, you are a hero and a half. This dude made it pretty clear that he wants nothing to do with your daughter back when your sister was still alive, so I say fuck his opinions. If you love and take care of your daughter, then the reluctant sperm donor has no right to run his mouth. Fuck him. Tell him she has two great dads, and a straight uncle, your older brother, who she can also relate to, because he was around. Yo op. I agree with a lot of what the others are saying about how he's simply against your sexuality or that he's subscribing to toxic patriarchal roles or ownership or whatever. I think he's out of line and should take the L here. You, on the other hand, sound wonderful. Like your daughter. My stepdad came into my life around 1-2 years old and I still call him Dad, more than 30 years later. My parents were always open with me about how the dynamic worked and I always appreciated it. There's no more welcoming feeling than being home with the people who want you there, and your daughter will grow up with that. Good luck to you all. What do you mean? Missed out on knowing her father. You are her father. Some guy who dumped his sperm and left isn't her dad. You just need to make sure legal aspects are all squared away and ignore this guy. Tell him to get fucked. The time for this man to step up was when the mother died. That's when she would have needed him. He wasn't interested, and he doesn't get to step in now that his homophobia urges him to influence this innocent child. Adding a third dad who is sure to badmouth her other two fathers to her is not going to be helping this child. He literally could have been in her life the past 3 years of it. He didn't want anything to do with the child and didn't care what happened to her before. Now all of a sudden, since he's homophobic, he cares how his biological child is raised. What a tool. You need to consult a lawyer in order to know what rights he has on her. Brother, I honestly feel your father is being an old mindset person who gives too much importance to the gender. As long as you provide basic survival needs, a warm and loving atmosphere, satisfy her desires to a certain extent, make her happy, and also last but not least, teach her appropriate principles of life. If you do the things I mentioned, at least according to me, you have done enough and you should be praised for your efforts. Thank you for allowing me to comment. This is a legal situation. Nothing about anyone's feelings really matter here until the legal questions are addressed. You need a lawyer to help you navigate this because the law is indifferent. It doesn't care. There are huge risks here you need to address. Totally lashing out on the biological dad. But I want to learn about the constant quote-unquote for chose. Like, What's wrong with that? Is it homophobic? Genuine question here. This is a no-brainer to me. Ignore that guy. Make it clear that he's not welcome, and that he gave up any rights he had. Not that he had any. You don't get rights over a child just because you're a sperm donor. When he left, I would think with having 2 dads, having the strong, male role model wouldn't be the problem. More than anything, make sure legally you are on the high ground. He may be a piece of shit, but there is a small chance a court could rule in his favor since he is biologically her father. I guess it would depend on where y'all are at, but you need to talk to a lawyer ASAP before he pulls anything to try and legally take her. Lawyer up. Protect your daughter. Get a lawyer. It sounds like this loser is struggling to remember the part where he abandoned the child he had a chance to father. Your op wasn't clear on some of the details regarding if the other guy is on the birth certificate and or paying child support. It sounds like he needs to be reminded he threw away his chance to have input. A cease and desist letter from attorney might get this attention, if you prefer that route. Best of luck to you. He makes no sense. If he gets his way, she'll have 3 dads instead of 1. You should go after him for child support. Have lawyers been involved? You need to contact one ASAP and make sure the court is aware he abandoned his child, and you and your family has been raising her for 4 years alone. Has he provided child support? He shouldn't get any say. Try to find any and all evidence to support this and hurry with contacting a lawyer.